I have been asked a few times would I be able to share a track plan of this layout just to show what it looks like, and I can honestly say I've not got a track plan. I had every intention to, I'd tried creating one on AnyRail, but it was a disaster, so I kind of just winged this and copied ideas off others. But I will show you the disastrous attempt of using AnyRail to create a layout design back in 2020 during lockdown. So this is the initial design I came up with. I think this was November 2020. I spent hours on AnyRail trying to come up with this. I had an idea in my mind. I wanted 4 or 5 lanes. I wanted some to be hidden. I wanted a mainline station, a turntable, and I just thought I'd try and cram as much track in as I possibly could. I look back now and I laugh because I'm so naive. I'd been brought up with Hornby, that's all I knew. I'd never heard about Pico track, so this whole layout is Hornby set track. I tried to get radius 4 curves, the biggest I could, then 3 long straights, but all set track points. All of it I'd not even heard about, as I say, Pico. I made a cutout to fit this room, but ridiculously that was 50 centimetres wide and it was 2 metres long, which meant this area here was nearly 2 metres, 6 foot. I was thinking I could reach half from inside and then half from outside, just totally unrealistic. And when I built the frame, I was looking back on the pictures, I did initially build it with that gap, but soon realised I needed to extend it, and it's come out kind of 4 times the size now. So it did become very apparent quickly after I'd done the framework and laid the baseboards. Got all my set track out that I'd been collecting over the years, started to put a few bits together, just how train setty it did look, and it just didn't look very realistic at all. So quickly scrapped that and just went back to the drawing board. So if you can imagine, initially this cutout only came to there. All that was baseboard as well, so it was just that really narrow strip just down to here. So it really, I've no room for me to turn around it alone do anything else. So why I thought that would work, I don't know, but I quickly readjusted it and cut the boards down. So realising this design I'd made wasn't going to work and didn't look very good, that's when I turned to YouTube. Never thought about YouTube before to look for pit model railways, didn't know there'd be any on there, but I was amazed by what I came across, and that really got me thinking then about doing this properly, and it introduced me to Pico track. So as I say, I did have an idea in my mind that I wanted a nice big mainline through station. I wanted an upper level, and I wanted the trains to be able to disappear through some tunnels. So going through the videos, there was 2 channels that really caught my eye at the time back then. One was Chadwick, Charlie Bishop, not so much because of his layout, but just because of the stuff that you learn from him in terms of just track laying, ballasting, point work. That was really helpful. But the one channel I liked, and I really liked the layout, and I'm not ashamed to say I've taken some of the ideas, was Dean Park. I went back right to the beginning of his and watched him building and designing it, and he had a great station and he had these two main lines across the back running, and I just thought how impressive that looked. And that's how I started this layout. That was the starting point for me. So after having my eyes open to the possibilities with Pico track, streamlined with the points and the flexible track, I set to work designing. And it all started with this station area. Everything stemmed from this. I knew I wanted 4 or 5 main lines. I wanted it to be covered. I wanted a bay platform. I just kind of just got the track and built it from there. So a little bay platform at the front, and initially that had my Royal Mail coach. I thought that would be great for parcels and that. That's moved out now because I bought this DMU a while back. So that was a bay platform. There were the 2 main lines. This was the branch line, which split into 2, so there was 2 platforms there. And then I had another one at the back, which eventually became the line that led off to the incline up underneath that hillside. I originally was going to use Hornby Scaledale platforms. I've got loads of them. I was collecting them over the years. So I laid them out, measured them and built the track work around it. Used the little Pico weigh gauges to get the spacing right. And then got the track laid. Got all the point work in. So there's some point work over at the far end. And obviously there's some point work sections down here. I didn't like the Scaledale platforms in the end because they were cast, they were resin, they didn't sit flush, and I couldn't cope with all the unevenness. So I made my own in the end, exactly the same size, same thickness, but it was MDF and plywood, and then some scale scenes, brick paper on it. So I built it forward enough so that I could fit 2 main lines higher up, like I'd seen on Dean Park. I just thought how effective it was. Fortunately, my run's nowhere near as long as his, so some of his running shots, just knock this out of the water, I've got to say. But once this was in place, I could then start to do the rest of the layout from there. So I wanted these lower lines to disappear through these tunnels, which they do. The back one obviously is the branch line, which splits off round. And then over here, it comes out and it splits there. One is the second incline up to the upper level, and then the outer one is the actual branch line itself. And then here's the 2 lower level main lines, come through, come round, and round onto there. And I knew I wanted a turntable because steam's obviously what I model, although I have got diesels, but that's another story. I did want a turntable, and I wanted it down in this area, and I couldn't decide whether to run these 2 main lines at the back, so there was a longer run on them, and have this turntable this side, or to do it the way I have and have these tracks coming across the front and the turntable behind. I'm kind of pleased I did that because it gave me more flexibility to get road work in and just some different kind of shots. So that was the area there. The main lines came round. I'm still undecided with this area even now. There's that point sat there. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know. But then the upper line, once the lower levels were done, I continued the upper line, and that does go all the way around the outside. Over there where that signal box is where this incline comes up and joins. And then just to that side, you can see the 3rd lane over there, where it starts to go down behind that derelict farm, and that's the other incline down. So these 2 upper levels come round, cross over the lower level main lines there, and then just come back round and complete the loop that way. So that pretty much left me with 5 running lines, tail chasers, 2 on the upper, 2 main lines on the lower, and then a single main line, which I've decided to call the branch line. I do run the train slower on there, and that one, probably half of it is out of view because it goes through that tunnel there, and then it's all underneath this back area all the way around, and then it reappears right over there somewhere where the goods yard is. So that just give a bit of a variety where trains disappear, which I kind of like, and then come out probably 20 seconds later. So I've always been into steam engines. That's what I always had as a lad, and that's what I continue to collect. You know, particularly like the Stanyas, as you must know by now, the Duchess, in particular are my favourites. But the more I watched the YouTube channels, you know, and the more channels I came across, Everard Junction, you know, when you see some of the grimy diesels and the freight trains they've got, I couldn't help but get a few myself. I didn't want to continue collecting those and outnumber my steamers, but I have got some, and then that led to me needing maybe a bit of a TMD, maintenance depot. So I was able to adapt just the area coming into the loco yard just to create a small diesel depot over there, which holds probably 6/7 diesels if I need it to. You may remember from some early videos I had a right dilemma about the coaling tower. I had that big one, which I know was probably more appropriate sized for the number and the size of this loco yard, but for me it just overpowered the layout. So I did compromise and go for the smaller one, and the track work was simpler with this. So I was able to get this in place just to try and complete this yard. Some might say I should have gone with a bigger one for realism, but there's a lot on this layout which isn't very realistic, to be fair. Another consideration I had to change with this station area, I had those Hornby footbridges, but obviously they're designed for set track, and mine's streamline, the Pico, so they were too big, they didn't fit. So I had to look for something, an alternative, and these are the Dapple kits, just too butchered and put together. The canopy, that's 4 kits there from Pico, the Pico ones. So that was a bit of a labour of love, trying to get 4 kits put together to create enough width to span 4 lines. I think they've come out okay though. I spray painted the plastic because it was very clear and shiny, and I wanted a grubby effect. So it's very patchy that, but it was just spray matte in varnish. So in terms of the inclines up to the upper level, there's this one at this side of the layout which comes round up there, comes up where past the derelict farm buildings, as you can see, fully in the open, small crossing there, and then it comes on and joins the main line where there's a double slip and then a point. Start of the other incline is actually that back line there, so it disappears under this road bridge and up, all under that area, out of view, and finally reappears over there where that tunnel entrance is. So this is the other incline from behind the layout, comes out there, you can see it's behind. This is the back of the back seam, and there's cutouts in there, so I've got access to the track, but it goes all the way along there, and it curls, and that's where it comes out round over there, and then picks up through the double slip onto the main lines. And you may remember this is the area which gave me the most head scratching dilemmas. The number of changes I made to this to try and get it look right, where the incline comes out. This was probably my 4th attempt to try something, just make it look a bit more natural. Quite pleased with it, or for now anyway, it's staying like that. Again, picking up ideas from watching other channels and some great railway layouts out there, I decided that I needed or wanted, don't know which the right word is there, I wanted a goods yard. I just liked, I'd seen a couple at the Doncaster exhibition, some really nice ones. So I just wanted something, partly to use this area up as well, because it was a bit of dead space. So I just created this small goods yard. You know, there's not a lot on there yet. I think I've got 4 wagons, which are probably 30 years old. So I do need to start getting this finished with accessories and rolling stock. But it was just a little area with a brewery, and then maybe with 3 or 4 sidings, and then the back scene across showing a big factory unit. I do quite like this one, and this is why I didn't want to cover it up with a back scene. And then the more the layout progressed, it became pretty evident that I didn't have enough storage for all my rolling stock, the coaches. So that's when I hit upon the idea of, oh, wouldn't it be great to see if I can get a Helix installed and then create a fiddle yard underneath. So as I was toying with the idea, first thing I did was built this incline down, and then I was contacted by a fellow modeller who'd built his own Helix and says, come and have a look, 'cause he was quite local, see if it's something you can do yourself. So that is what I did. I've created my own Helix there, just to take trains down. It drops them down probably 30 centimetres from the lower level, I think. And then that takes me to where I am now, in the middle of constructing a fiddle yard, which you probably remember from the plans, because it's only been the last few weeks. It's going to have 12 lanes, I think it is, 12, yeah, something like that, with room for expansion down there, should I wish to at a later date. So that's kind of how the layout came about, from only believing there was Hornby track, and you had to just do the best you could with a set track, to having an epiphany watching some channels, realising Pico flexible track. I knew Hornby did flexible track, but never even batted an eyelid around that. And so yeah, it gave me much more scope and flexibility. So AnyRail went away really, and I just kind of winged it as I went along. I had ideas in my mind from watching Dean Park in particular. I just love that station on his, and then there was 2 main lines running across the back, and I knew I wanted something similar. And that's where we are. So it does mean I can have 5 trains running around just looking after themselves as tail chasers on the 5 lines, and that gives me opportunity then to play around in the loco yard. Although, as you know, the turntable's not operational just at this moment in time. So I can do that, or I can bob over to that area and just have a bit of time doing some shunting. So there's quite a bit of options as to what I can do. You know, sometimes I just invariably put the five lanes running while I'm doing a bit of modelling or other bits in here. So apologies that I haven't got a track plan, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, it's roughly 17 foot across the back there, and then width-wise, without the goods yard, it's 11 foot wide across there. But we all wish we had more space. Even I do.